The latest anti-development protest at Manchester Airport is expected to end in the next few days. Expert tunnellers are now slowly closing in on the remaining 4 protesters who have been deep underground now for more than a week. The complex system of tunnels they're built are a sign of the growing sophistication and organisation of Britain's environmental protesters. They're already planning the next target in their campaign. For tonight's special report, Ben McCarthy has been finding out who the protesters are and what drives them on.
The Boleyn Valley. This is the Cheshire landscape that environmental protesters have spent almost 6 months trying to protect. But soon the bulldozers will level the land to make way for Manchester Airport's second runway. Having been evicted from their tunnels and tree houses, many of the protesters are still camping under the flight path, living on handouts from local people. They opted for direct action against the developers after objections were overruled at the planning inquiry. Manchester provided the focus for over 100 protesters from all over the country. Tony Walker's a former soldier, now using military training to fight for the side rather than his country.
You sacrifice a lot for it because you believe in it. So yeah, I reckon I'll be going on for a few years. My mum especially, she gets worried. It's one of those, there's no need for us to worry, because we know what we're doing at the end of the day. We risk ourselves so far, but if we die, it's one of those, you can't carry on with the cause.
Martin Porter has a degree in astrophysics, but he's turned his back on a conventional career in favour of life as a professional protester.
Direct action just so effective. I mean, I took part in the Newbury bypass campaign last year, and that, that was an effective campaign. After that, loads of bypasses were cancelled, loads of trees saved as a result of that. So here, Manchester Airport, nearly my back garden, I just had to come along and do my bit.
Martin's parents, both retired teachers, were on holiday in Norfolk this week. Although they're proud of Martin's protest, they were worried about him getting a criminal record. But they now say that in their youth, they might even have taken part themselves.
When we were young, we were rather between protests, because it was before they banned the bomb marches, and so I don't think people did protest in the same way then as they do now.
The greatest concern then was World War III, probably, the Cold War was still on.
But with construction rather than communism now the enemy, it's the taxpayer that foots the bill for these protests. Manchester Airport is the latest in a series of confrontations across the country. The most serious clashes have been over road developments. The M77 link road in Glasgow, the M11 link road in London, the M3 extension at Twyford Down in Hampshire, the A34 Newbury bypass in Berkshire, and the A30 from Honiton to Exeter in Devon. It's estimated that the additional cost of these 5 alone is at least £75 million. Former Conservative councillor Barbara Bryant was at the forefront of the campaign to prevent the extension of the M3 through Twyford Down. But with hindsight, she believes protest through official channels is the only way to win.
I think the direct action, the one can see now in certain places, is counterproductive. It is also doomed because the decision has been made, the whole vast process has been undertaken.
But that cuts little ice with the eco-warriors who are now digging in at Lyminge in Kent. Developers here have been granted permission to turn acres of forest into a holiday complex. As at Manchester, they fought above and below ground. This is an example of what the protesters are prepared to do. Many are happy to stay locked on in claustrophobic tunnels for days on end. This one runs for almost 30 feet under sandstone, and down here it feels almost like being dive. And many of the protesters from Manchester will move here, where they'll once again wait to be evicted by bailiffs they've met before. For both sides, this has now become a way of life. Ben McCarthy, News at 10, Kent.